For a very long time, I've had many requests to review clavichords and harpsichords on my channel, and today I have finally found a clavichord. This is actually, I believe, my first clavichord that I've ever played. I might have seen one many years ago before I started doing videos, but this is the first one I found when I've been doing YouTube videos on it, and I really thought that it would be a cool thing to show. Now, of course, the clavichord is kind of like the piano's great-great-grandfather. It was one of the first keyboard instruments, and from the clavichord evolved the harpsichord, and from the harpsichord evolved the pianoforte, and from the pianoforte evolved the modern-day piano. So it's several steps behind the piano, and it's a very interesting thing. The way it makes sound is very interesting. As you can see, the keys here are basically similar to what a piano keys are, but the colors are inverted. And the way it works is the mechanism is extremely simple. There's only like one moving part, and that is the key itself. So the key moves up, and then it frets a string, and there's a little metal bar on the back of the string that lifts up and then will hit the string, making the sound and cutting the string off so that it's a certain pitch. Like that. And so, of course, and all of the strings are like that, all of the keys here are just like that. And it's kind of interesting, there's a couple different variations of clavichords, and I'm forgetting the exact names of them right now, but there's two different types, one where multiple notes will be on one string, and another where each note will have its own individual set of strings, and that's what this clavichord is. And what that allows you to do is you could play chromatic clusters, whereas in I believe it's called a fretted clavichord, where multiple notes are on one string. If you wanted to play this D, and you wanted to play this C sharp, you couldn't do that at the same time because the C sharp and the D and maybe even the C would all be on the same string. So you could only play one of these notes at a time. But with the invention of this type of clavichord, you can play just big fat chromatic clusters all at once if you wanted to. Now, unfortunately, I don't really know any Bach pieces at the moment, which of course would be very fitting to play on this instrument. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my own original piece on this instrument. If I knew some Bach, I absolutely would play it, and I'm looking into learning some new Bach pieces. So if I come across a harpsichord or a clavichord, maybe then I'll have some Mozart and Bach to play for you. Now, if you're interested in coming and seeing this instrument for yourself, I'll put the store info where I found it down in the comment section and description down below. And also, the model of this instrument is a Johannes Morley instrument, and apparently it's made in London because there is a cool little stamp on the soundboard that, I think this is the soundboard, yeah, it looks like soundboard, and that says John Morley London. So it's a pretty cool instrument, and I just thought I'd do a quick little demonstration of it for you guys. So here we go. As you can hear, the clavichord has a very unique sound, and I'm sure many of you have heard a clavichord or at least a harpsichord at some point in your life, and the clavichord is basically like a smaller, quieter harpsichord in a way. The mechanism is different, but they have a rather similar sound. The harpsichord is a lot more kind of like a very loud, buzzing kind of sound, and this is a much more quiet, delicate kind of sound, and it's very, very cool. Now, you might be wondering why the keys are inverted. Normally on a piano we have white keys here and we have black keys here, but in this case the sharps are white and the keys are black, which is often seen in old pipe organs and things as well. And the reason for doing this, I have heard, is because in low light conditions, like via candlelight or something, it's actually very easy to see the black keys versus the white keys, or well, I guess in this would be the white keys versus the black keys. It's really easy to identify these notes, and it becomes much easier to play in low light conditions, and that's why I've heard these colors are reversed, and also it just looks pretty unique, especially today when we're used to seeing these being the white keys and these being the black keys. So there is the John Morley London logo on the inside of the clavichord. It's a very nice looking logo, and I really like the way that looks. It looks very cool on the inside. There are the tuning pins, and as you can see, there is no harp on this clavichord, and clavichords never did have a harp, and neither did harpsichords. There was no metal frame on the inside of the piano of the instrument that would help tuning stability. It simply goes into the pin block, and as for this reason, clavichords as well as harpsichords notoriously will go out of tune very often. You might have heard that some of these notes down here were in fact out of tune, which happens all the time with these instruments, and you kind of have to tune them constantly, much like you would a guitar or a violin, to keep them in tune. And as a result, there is a small little tuning mute kept right inside of the instrument, which I think is a really good idea because you'd probably constantly need it. Also, the tuning pins look a lot smaller than on a piano, so you'd probably need a specialized tuning hammer to tune that with. Now that we're on the inside here, let's take a look at the mechanism, which, as I said, is very, very simple. You simply have the key, which moves, and then when you push it, it frets the string, basically, and lets it sustain. And what's interesting is there's no actual damper mechanism. There's no damper that lifts up when you hit the string. Instead, there's just a bunch of felt that's crammed against the back of the string there. And when you fret the string, on the right-hand side of the I guess, I'm not sure what you call it. Let me know what you call it. It's not a plectrum, because the plectrum plucks the string. But on the right-hand side of this key here is the speaking side of the string, and so there's no damper there. So as long as you hold that string, the note will sustain as long as the string possibly can. And then when you let it down, it's dampened, and so it will just automatically dampen. There is some sympathetic resonance there, as you can hear. But basically, once you let go of the string, or let go of the key, it dampens the string. So it's a very cool way to do the dampening. And as you can see, as I mentioned before, each note here has its own individual string. So you can play every single note in a row, and they each will sound, and you can play them all at the same time at once. What's also cool is that each note has two sets of strings, even way up at the top and way down at the bottom of the clavichord. On that note, those notes sound really cool. One additional thing about the clavichord that I'm noticing is you can almost kind of like bend the note, because as you can see, you can raise and lower the tension of the string there. Hear that? So you can kind of get like vibrato in the notes of the clavichord. And I'm not sure that was something that a composer like Bach would have been doing at the time. But it's a good way to add expression, I suppose. It really works on these low strings here because there's a lot of slack to play with in the middle, not so much. But you can kind of do it. A little subtle, but it's very cool. So that's the inside of the clavichord, and hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's very much different from a piano or any other thing that we have and that we're familiar with. And so I just thought you guys might find it interesting what the inside of the clavichord looks like. As you can see, the rest of the keys very similar to a piano key. There's even little bushings inside. They're slightly different than a piano bushing would be, but as you can see, there's a bushing right there, and there also would be one down here underneath of the key where you play it, very much like a piano would have. Let's take a closer look at the keys here. As you can see, the tops of them look like they're made of ebony, and then the sharp keys are also made of ebony, and I think the tops are either have like an ivory or a plastic covering to them. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like a plastic covering that's made to look like ivory. Originally, I'd imagine that would have been ivory, or perhaps it would have been painted white, but this one here seems to have a little covering over the key, and also the entire key is wood as well. If you look at the front of them, you can see that it's not a plastic piece like on a piano. It's actually just a solid piece of wood there, which is pretty cool. And then the top of the key is its own separate piece of wood. So it's very neat. It's very neat to see the workings of the clavichord. And then you can also see the Johannes Morley logo here as well. It's very cool. And then they have some Latin writing there as well, which I don't know what it means. Londini fecit. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Let me know what that means if you guys know. I assume Londini means London. Fecit might mean made in London? That's my guess. It means made in London. Another cool thing is the way that this lid here works. The music desk, which is right here, actually helps hold up the lid, as you can see. So when we were showing you the inside of the clavichord, we'd open it up like this so you can see the inside, and then to hold the lid up, you just do that, and the music desk is the lid prop. If you wanted to fold it over, you would take the music desk, fold it down like that, then this would lower down like this, I assume. That looks like it touches the music desk. Maybe it goes inside. I'll bet you the music desk goes inside. Then this would go right here, and then this would fold over like that, and then this little guy here, you would lift like that, and then that is how you would put away the clavichord, keep dust out of it, and you could even put some little things on top of it. It looks like people have done that in the past. It does make a very nice table. But it's very cool the way it's so compact and very neat, and it goes together very neatly. And I like that the music desk is the lid support. It's a very unique idea. Another thing I kind of think is neat is the shape of the bridge here. It almost looks like a snake or an eel. Just the shape of it looks like it's in the middle of swimming or something. And I like the way they've carved the end of it just a little bit here, so it's not just like a blunt shape of wood. It just has a nice little shape to it. Very cool. Very nice attention to detail. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video of this Johannes Morley clavichord. I'll be on the lookout for more clavichords and harpsichords in the future, and if you want to go check out my channel, I've got lots of videos on pianos and also on organs as well, and like I said, I'll be on the lookout for more of these in the future, and I'll also be working on learning some Bach and maybe some Mozart pieces as well if I come across a harpsichord. So make sure to stay tuned, and the information for where this instrument is located, the store where I found it at, will be in the description and the comment section down below. So if you're interested in coming and checking this out for yourself and maybe playing some Bach on this instrument, you can come do that, and it'll be very cool. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you want to subscribe, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.